Welcome back to Krown's Crypto Cave, and hey, happy Thursday. Hope you're having the best Thursday possible ever that you could ever have in your good old cryptocurrency life. It's another bad hair day for me, and also I'm sick once again. Apparently, I have the stomach flu now. I'm like shitting and vomiting everywhere, but I think I've timed this absolutely perfectly because I just got one vomit out, so it should give me at least like a 30-minute kind of grace period, and then we can probably fit in all of the analysis in there. So let's get on over here to the live scene. Before I forget to remind myself, I have to talk about my own programs that are all on sale for the rest of the year, which is the next actually like 3 days, so not too much more longer. I won't be having any more sales anytime soon or anything planned or anything like that, so just want to make sure that people who are interested in this content are well aware of this fact, and yes, also understand that these programs, the technical analysis program, the options program, and the jewel indicators, they are all designed for the true diehards in mind. I know I keep on repeating that, but it's very, very important to understand because most people who just want to learn a little bit of technical analysis here and there, who aren't necessarily looking to do this as a living or anything like that, it is complete overkill what these programs will do. These are designed for people who are truly dedicated to learning the art. If you just want to dabble, if you just want to learn a few things here and there, which is going to be most people, quite literally actually, definitely check out the playlist on my channel titled New to Technical Analysis. Start here and then graduate from there to the next one, technical indicators and strategies. And that's probably going to be applicable to most people. Again, these programs are designed for people who really want to get into the nitty-gritty of this. And as again, it's not just technical analysis what's in this base program right here. It is also market dynamics, risk and position management mastery. Yes, of course, you get access to two proprietary indicators, as well as the options program gets access to its own proprietary indicator, and the jewel indicators are, well, they're all indicators, just to be very, very clear with that one. But overall, it's also a massive time commitment, well over 30 hours on both of these programs. And also, of course, you will get access to the hidden Discord. So I'll just leave it at that. Let's get on over here to the actual analysis because I'm running out of time now. And here we go. Actually, if I put down the mic and I start yakking, you hear like some sort of like massive fucking Yeti sounds in the background, I'll be fine. I promise I'll be fine, but I can't have the camera on today because I just look so fucking god awful. Anyways, okay, so Bitcoin basically hanging around in the area that that I lifted you off yesterday, right around the yellow 21 exponential. We actually closed above it last night, funnily enough, resting and spiking down to the blue 30 moving average a couple times, or sorry, 3 times now. And we're actually kind of have a very unique situation here because if we do go over to our Bit Mexican chart right over here. And I think maybe an hourly we'll get this about right. Yeah, so we've been looking at this blue box right around here, saying that as long as you're as long as you're above there, maybe you might very well pop back up to this 40-40 area and actually fill the gap on the CMEs. And you know what? The more that Bitcoin actually kind of hangs around this area, there is a massive gap right around 4,000. Yeah. Actually do feel like you might get a quick spike up, and that's probably going to be a sell. That's probably going to be the obvious trade of the day. I mean, not in any way that it happens like literally today. I mean, it could happen today. Again, time analysis is not something that I think is really relevant or that can be done, at least in a more traditional sense that I've seen. But overall, my point is with this whole thing, as I turn off my light over here because it's way too fucking bright, is that when you're looking at this, it's the good trade to be taken, at least in my opinion. Again, it's not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor, but when it comes down to it, I'm happy to wait for something like this. Or the other trade that I'll be waiting for is a break of the blue box territory that we're looking at right over here. The fact that Bitcoin's come down and spiked at 1, 2, 3, about 3 times in the last day and a half does tell me that it is getting weaker over time. We are getting a lot of nasty exponential moving average crosses. We just got a fresh death cross in the hourly. Again, it's not like that's not a fucking death sentence like a daily death cross would be, but it is, it might give you the impetus or the power needed to bust through this area right over here. So there's 2 trades to essentially be taken. Now, of course, there is a third one, but I would not be taking it myself, although it's technically speaking, it's not a bad trade. It's not for me though. It doesn't really adhere to my own sort of trading principles. But if people wanted to buy the top side of this box that we've actually spiked down to 3 times, not the worst trade. I mean, I think you kind of miss your chance, really. Like, you're playing with fire, you're going counter trend. You have everything kind of telling you that the selling pressure is about to pick back up. But hey, it is a trade, and you would have actually had a couple good scalps just playing around this range, filling out this range again between about 38.50 and 36.60. So obviously this lower blue box does go down all the way to 36.30. We could call it. We could even just say 3600 even is the way that I've been referring it to. But here's the important part: if you do actually break this area, meaning that you actually close like an hourly 2-hour dildo below this area 3600, I do believe that you're probably going to make your way down towards 3250 3300 area, down around here for the full kind of retrace of this nice move right over here. Now here's the thing though, is that we are essentially creating lower highs on our higher time frames. Again, this is why I didn't want to get too damn excited while everyone else was celebrating moon time this past week. I was closing shorts, but I wasn't necessarily looking to get long. I did take a long over here. I ended up taking a $10 loss on that one, and that's trading. Again, it was kind of the holiday season, so executive decision to not really. I didn't really want to fucking baby a trade during Christmas dinner, but. And by the way, happy holidays to everyone out there. But overall, people are looking at this now and they're saying, and I've been having plenty of time to go through the dregs of crypto Twitter because I'm like just fucking bedridden right now. But basically, everyone's calling this a fucking inverted head and shoulders. It is not by any stretch of the imagination. People are telling you that this thing's going to go back. They're telling you about a measure move taking you all the way from 4250 to 5200, like right over here. Extremely unlikely. This is not an inverted head and shoulders. First things first, there are so many things wrong with this statement, and I'll just go through a few of them right now. But basically, first off, your shape is wrong. Your neckline, you don't want it slanted down like this. Second, your volume is wrong. It doesn't have the traditional volume of an inverted head and shoulders, although that can sometimes be, unaccounted for. But if it was going to be unaccounted for, well, I'd want to see the heavier volume on the head then. That's typically how it arises, and we don't have that right now. In fact, you actually have basically no business be done down around there, a very low volume kind of hang around there. And then third, and most important, and this is what pattern traders, like everyone, it seems to me that everyone on crypto Twitter is a pattern trader because they're always calling out like, we have a bullish flag, we have an inverted head and shoulders, we have a cup and handle. Well, that's great, but you can't play these fucking patterns, or at least if you are going to be a pattern trader, in the way that I learned it, you don't want to play a pattern before it actually gets like fucking fully confirmed. Right now, you don't even really have a right shoulder. I mean, again, there's so many things already wrong with this, but let's just kind of tilt our eyes and squint and maybe try to see it from the perspective of a very honorable person on crypto Twitter. They might be an honorable hodler. They've been hodling for the last 5 years. They truly believe in Bitcoin. I believe in Bitcoin too, but they will not sell because I will not sell at a loss, because that's what stupid traitors do. Anyways, bro, if you don't sell at a loss, you can't fucking lose. It's like, oh my God. Have you ever heard of a little thing called opportunity cost? Have you ever heard of a little thing called... Never mind. Anyways, okay, so you don't have a right shoulder right over here. Your neckline is just all. This is like just the fucking Quasimodo of inverted head and shoulders, if it was, which it's fucking not. But hey, you don't play these things before they like fully put in place, and then you have confirmation above your neckline, which would be this is not even fucking right, because it's wrong to call this one to begin with, but it would be, I guess people would be looking at it right over here at around 4,300. So it's like your interpretation is wrong, your understanding of how to play that interpretation is wrong, and it's just there's just so many things like... man, it's very interesting. I actually really don't like playing patterns on Bitcoin because the markets are pretty light in general. And when I say light, what I mean is that there's not like too many people trading this. It's not like there's like shit tons of volumes going down each and every day. There is decent amount, but it does offer up the potential for people, big money movers. They can paint patterns if they want. I don't know if they can really do it on Bitcoin. Bitcoin does have, it is a world market, and there's a lot of people trading Bitcoin, but one of the, like an alt or something like that, they can very easily do that. You don't need much money to really fuck around with an alt. With Bitcoin, yeah, you probably need, you certainly do need some, but can people do it there? I mean, maybe they can, but they will essentially kind of look at a pattern and just kind of start painting it. And again, you'll look at this one right over here. Again, people who actually know how to trade fucking patterns will know that this is not one to begin with. It's just another lower high is what it is. Not only is it a lower high, but you also have bearish divergence at your top right over here on your rejection of that. I mean, we could interpret this as a rejection of the green 55, although it's not quite there. But you do have bearish divergence on this last pop right over here. And then also you do have hidden bearish divergence between this point and this point right over here. So again, you are in the context of a downtrend, you're making a higher high on your oscillator, and you're making lower highs on price action. And then just by the most basic of basic ways, you're making lower highs and lower lows. You've literally been doing that for the last over a year. Nothing's changed. Again, this is why the trend is your friend until the end of the trend. People will try to play Mr. Bottom Catcher, and it's like, everyone wants to play Mr. Bottom Catcher, but ain't nobody wants to catch that big girthy red dildo. It's like, well, maybe I have that wrong. Maybe everyone wants to catch the big girthy red dildo, but all you have to do is just wait for a fucking uptrend. Oh my god. Oh my fucking god. I'm getting way overdone here for just a simple video. Should be saving my strength to begin with, but ugh. Gotcha, bitch. Anyways, DMI over here is not telling us anything on the daily. What about the 12-hour? I'm curious what it's saying there. Have we gotten any signals there? Nope, still consolidating, but I do believe that even if Bitcoin does pop back up to that 4,000 level, it's going to be a very nice sell. I don't really have any positions on myself right now. I'm basically in a cash position on my futures. I still have the short open from 6,300. I went cash at 3,900. So, again, it's like that, that doesn't look like a good trade now, does it? But, at the end of the day, man, it's, I'm not feeling too well. And then, Christmas was coming up. So I just closed the position, and that's completely fine. And go over here to the options and let those work for you. And that's all good for me. So again, the reason why I mentioned this is because people have been asking me, what do you do with your short from 6,300 when you want to, like, quote unquote close it without closing it? Well, I just buy an equal but opposite amount of perps against it. So with each and every tick up that I'd technically be losing on my short, I've been gaining on my long, and vice versa for the downside. So it basically neutralizes itself out. On here on my options, just basically letting this one work for you. It's been very, very, Bitcoin is so generous with the way that it rewards people for using options right now. Again, if you want to learn how to do stuff like this, which this is like, you don't need a world-class education to see what I'm doing here. But if you want to learn this and obviously more sophisticated strategies, definitely check out the options program. All of the links are in the description below, which I forgot to mention as well. But yeah, just letting that work for you. You guys have been watching the P&L on this guy just like slowly creep onwards and upwards. So all good on that one. But overall, on Mr. Cohn's over here, do we have any time frame giving off signals on the DMI or trending indicator? Nope, nothing on the 8-hour. Is this anything on the 4-hour? Not really. Not really. On the 2-hour, not really again. To me, it's pretty indecisive here. Yeah, people are going to be calling this some sort of a flag or maybe like a descending triangle, which Bitcoin actually does like playing descending triangles. I know that I said that I don't really care for trading patterns earlier. I do like descending triangles, ascending triangles, and symmetrical triangles. Those seem to have some pretty good workaround, and to a lesser extent channels. I've noticed in Bitcoin. Now in other markets it can certainly be different, but in Bitcoin specific, that's what I've noticed. But again, over here on the hourly, yeah, we could kind of draw this guy in if we really want to represent it like this. Again, you don't need a fancy thing like this. I mean, this is like fancy to begin with, but you do have a triangle, a consolidation triangle of some sort right here. Yes, you are getting some nasty crosses on your exponentials. Again, the death cross on the hourly, which is, again, not a death sentence or anything like that. You are being stifled by this red 200 simple moving average on the hourly. And if we were to break this onwards and upwards, would that point us to the 4,000 level? You also notice, though, that, let's see, does it get us around there? Well, let's see if we broke it out right around here. 39.50. Yeah, close enough is close enough. I mean, that would kind of count for me. Again, anywhere in this range right here, and I'm actually going to lower this guy down right here. I want it right around that 4,000 mark because I want to know myself. That's probably the next trade that I'm really interested in taking. And what would that create if you pop back there and fill the gap on the CMEs, somewhere right around here, and then sold off from there? It's just going to be another lower high, and it would be a good little move to have because you're going to get all of the bulls looking for the inverted head and shoulders, back in, because they're thinking that it's like breaking out. It's like, oh my God, it's still like you literally haven't even created a higher high. Wow. But hey, it would be a nice little fake out move to have. Again, not saying that it has to happen or anything like that. But the next time that Bitcoin does go there, I'd probably be looking to play that. By the same token, if we do break this out to the downside, and I wouldn't even be using this triangle right here. It doesn't need to be that fucking complicated. It's this horizontal which we've been respecting, for the last day. This one and this one right around here, 36.80 and 38.40. Whichever way that it breaks out above that area. Well, if we do break this guy right over here, 36.80. Jesus Christ, man, dyslexic as fuck. I have us pointed down to about 35.50. But again, if we break the blue box territory right here, I do believe that Bitcoin probably goes back down to your former lows. And again, that's nothing from technical analysis is really suggesting that. It's just my opinion. I don't trade it or anything like that, but I would be kind of looking for a trade like that. Over here, let's go check out our higher time frame oscillators. I'm curious what they're saying right now. Daily Stokes over here, they are fresh cross down, rejecting kind of the more critical zones. So I do like that. What about our 12-hour? 12-hour just straight nosedive. What about our 2-day? We haven't checked on that one in a while. Yeah, 2-day still headed up. We will get a new tick later. Nope, in a couple days. So it won't be tonight. Will be tomorrow night. And 3-day right over here, trying to get out of the more critical zone. What about the weekly? We haven't looked at this one in a long time. But I guess it's still way down here. So interesting. We do have some things kind of suggesting either which way, but overall, from a higher time frame perspective, I am still looking at the 200 exponential, this purple line right over here on the weekly, to be kind of like my governing force. Now, of course, there's 3 different things that I'm looking for to be demonstrative of the bear market being over. The first thing is I want to see a higher high on the daily. That would be a great start right over here. Just get right back above 4,300. That'd be phenomenal. The second thing is I'd be looking for a weekly dildo to be opening and closing above the 200 exponential, and if that happens, and in keyword opening and closing above there, and if that happens, I would probably really start changing my overall tone. Not like Vaso. But again, who tries to buy every fucking bottom, every $100 down. But again, back up to and then my third and final, thing that I'm looking for is 6,000 being broken. If Bitcoin can get back above the 6,000 territory, which it essentially broke down from, after this year's long consolidation, that would probably be good. I mean, it wouldn't probably be good enough. That would be my signal to get in some long-term longs. Again, a weekly both opening and closing above the 200 exponential moving average, this purple line right over here. I might start taking some preliminary positions, maybe small ones, because that would be impressive. So again, right now, the way that I read this is that Bitcoin's just, again, having a reaction off the 200 simple moving average right over here, which I'm about to show you something else in the traditional markets, which is going to remind you very, very similarly of that. And oh my God, there you fucking go. So SPYs over here, this is SPOOs. And essentially, they have come all the way down to hit our measured move, maybe off by like 20 cents. This again, I did not expect this to happen as fast. Again, that's why I'm not a fucking time analyst. That's why I don't think it can be done. But same thing over here, man. You're having a great reaction off the 200 simple moving average, and then just straight upwards and onwards on top of that. You do have resistance right here, where we're actually brushing up against right now, around 247.5 to 248. If that area gets taken out, don't really see much stopping you from this 254.25 area. But very reminiscent. Well, not that reminiscent of Bitcoin. I mean, this one's actually having a much better reaction immediately. In fact, this is quite impressive. Again, this is so fucking unheard of to like have a dump like this coming into Christmas, and then in the end of the year, you typically just see like not straight up, but like grindy up, like floaty up action. Not this year though. We have interesting market going on, but off the lows right now, we are about 5.5%, which is really big for traditional markets. Again, that's really big for traditional markets. In Bitcoin land, that's nothing, but in traditional markets, a 5.5% move, that's like, hold the fucking press. What the fuck did I just see? That kind of shit. In fact, just so you know, if you have more than a 5% move in 5 minutes in traditional markets, they actually halt the stock for 5 minutes because because the circuit breakers, because they think that people are going to do something crazy, like, I don't know, just like sell all their fucking life savings or whatever it might be. I don't know what, in what context it's going to be dependent. Right. But it is, I think it is kind of funny because you see that kind of shit all the time in crypto land. Anyways, you will be getting some nasty crosses on your exponentials on the weekly dollar time frame, but for now, you're probably gonna give it a rally back up into it. I wouldn't be surprised if this does make a reach for like 254.5, maybe even 257. over the next coming weeks. But remember, you know, the monthly, which we will be getting a new one pretty damn soon. The monthly is actually coming up relatively fast. We've had a great reaction off the green 55 exponential, and once we kind of set this one in, assuming that we do close below the yellow 21 exponential around 261, you know, which I think is quite likely in the next like 4 days or whatever it might be. So then the next monthly that we get is probably going to be sell. Some, you know, any test around the 21 exponential would probably be a seller. Again, this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor, but yeah, I think that this one still has some room to go down. But for now, you know, bouncing monthly Stokes over here, just getting started we're not just getting started, but giving you bearish divergence and rejecting the more critical zone. Monthly ADX over here actually giving you a nice signal as well, or initial signal. So I do like that. And monthly RSI just reaching down for the bear zone for the first time in a long time. So it could take a while. You know, the next month of the new year, January, could be spent bouncing up to maybe, you know, somewhere around 260. Then after that, you'll probably see sellers take back over again. But again, that's just an opinion, not technical analysis. So I'm just going to take a sip of this water. Jesus Christ, man, I'm getting like hot flashes and shit. Feels so fucking awful, man. So awful, but my voice is working, funnily enough. So I thought I'd do a video. It's really fucking boring to just be sitting in bed all day. I can't tell you enough about this, so I can obviously fucking talk, so might as well do a video. GBTC over here, well, the monthly's not going to give you much now, will it? Weekly over here does actually look like wants to give it a little bit more of a bounce, but daily reveals, yeah, you got that same gap around $4.60. That's probably going to be somewhere around the 4,000 level on spot. So again, not only do you have the CME gap right around there, but you also have GBTC as well. So if we were to get one of them Bart Simpsons or whatever the fuck they're called, I hate that I even use that word, that I even acknowledge it, but you know what I'm talking about. If we were to get somewhere back in this range, the 4,000 range, I really think that it would be probably a strong play. This guy, you know, same thing as spot exchange. It's not anything really too unique over here. You do have hidden bearish divergence. You do have your daily Stokes getting or losing a little bit of momentum, but not a, you know, certainly not a signal or anything like that just yet. So yeah, by the way, Jewel timing you a beautiful fucking buy over here. Now that's one that I want to be aware of. Fucking nicely done, Jewel. Okay, so let's go check out, do we want to check out XRP and Ethereum? Yeah, sure, why not? People are going to get mad if you don't. Okay, so XRP did confirm the very nasty shooting star dildo right over here, extremely long wick to the upside, testing the purple 200 exponential, and then selling all the way back down below the 21 exponential. To me, that is a clear signal. That is a clear fucking signal. The next signal that I'd be looking for is to take out the low of this dildo right here, which would be 35, a little over 35 cents. If it can do that, then yeah, probably going to follow Bitcoin and come back to its prior low, something like that. Again, death cross right over here, green 55 to the downside of the purple 200. This tells me that it's being respected. The bots and the algos are looking at that, and they are intensifying their selling programs, is what it looks like to me. So again, keep that in mind. It did have a nice run. It even did create a higher high on the daily. And I was entertaining thoughts of perhaps bifurcation happening in front of our very eyes in the market, but I don't think... I think when you look at the higher time frames, it gets very quickly revealed that needs to be sidelined for now. Same thing with Mr. Beaterall. And sorry, let me just go through. Do you even want to go through? Yeah, it also hit the 786 over here. I mean, just from a higher time frame perspective, as long as you're below, you know, really here. I mean, it doesn't need to be any more complicated than that. 45.5 cents. It's a very difficult chart to love. Very difficult chart to love. And same thing with Mr. Beaterall. People got very excited about this one as well. And it did create a higher high on the daily, but on the 3-day, did it? It did, actually. It did. So good for you, Mr. Beaterall. But again, you know, you look at this guy. Can I move this, please? Oh, you little shit fuck. There you go. Yeah, so hitting the 618 Fibonacci retracement from this breakdown right over here, but you still got that death cross, and look what you're respecting. You're respecting the yellow 21 exponential, just like Mr. Ripple's over there. So to me, that is extremely indicative of what's likely to come. You already have taken out the low of this dildo on the following one, and look at the volume on this. That is head and shoulders above anything else. Well, not everything else, but it's certainly head and shoulders telling us that... non-inverted head and shoulders, but it's telling us that the selling pressure is still certainly there. Look at all these high volume dildos. Those are selling dildos, like this guy right over here, this guy right over here, this guy right over here, and this guy right over here. Again, do not be swayed by the great, amazing people of crypto Twitter and crypto YouTube that is indicative of capitulation. You want to see buying on capitulation. That's what you want to see. Because typically what's really happening is just people panic, and then some sort of big, money mover, someone with extremely deep pockets just steps in and buys the blood and says, all right, this is good enough for me. I want to make sure I get all my shit in, so I'm going to be buying right now. And again, technically speaking, you would have support at that prior kind of swing high somewhere right around here. Looks like we're already reaching for that around 125. But I wouldn't be surprised if you do find yourself back around 110-ish area. This is on Finex, by the way. If 110 breaks, then very likely going back to about $95.50. Again, if Bitcoin returns back to its lows, you're probably going to see this one return back to its lows as well. Okay, so let's go on over here to our high time frames. I'll just round out this video by denoting why I don't believe that we've seen the bottom just hit. I want to say this for last because I know a lot of people probably heard this already. I'll bring a few new things in here. But overall, the three things that I'm looking for to be, and I'm actually going to up that to 4 now because I actually have access to a tool that I didn't think that I had access to, but it really fucking helps to denote where bottoms are. Sorry, it's 5. Make that 5. So first things first, I want to see extremely heavy volume being done at the actual bottom of this guy right over here. As you can see right now, we do not have that. I want to see something analogous to what you did over here in your kind of more parabolic cycle. Just like in 2014 when you had this spike right over here, that is very similar to what you did right over here. This, for me, does not do it. It's very similar to what you did right over here, which actually had, sorry, I should explain this a little bit better, but our current bounce is about, what is it, about 20, a little over 20%, in the span of 2 weeks, by the way, in the span of 2 weeks. Keep in mind, from wick to wick over here, this bounce was 100% in the span of a couple weeks. Now, this guy over here, do we want to do dildo bodies? We can do dildo bodies, but it was about a 20% bounce as well. Now, yes, of course, if you use wicks, it's going to be about 35 to 40, which is actually would be like the full bounce if we looked at it on spot right now as well. But the more important part is that I'm not seeing the volume that I want to see done on an actual major low. I'm not seeing the percentage reaction. I'm also not seeing the quickness as well. As we just spoke about before, when someone really wants to put a floor in the market, they don't give you multiple days, or it doesn't take them multiple days to decide this looks good enough. No, again, this to me is just a reaction simply off the 200 simple moving average, redundantly enough. But again, going over here, you have 1, 2, 3, 4 days to buy the actual low. It's too fucking generous, man. Too fucking generous. Again, if we go down, and that's on a daily, by the way. So if we went down to like a 2 hour and we went all the way back now over here, you can see that the big spike lows in February and in January, or was it December? I think it was December actually, which actually that actually is what capitulation can look like. This guy right over here, this really is what it can look like. In just a few hour period, you already moved up 20%. So literally in less than a day, Bitcoin was up more than what you saw in the whole fucking 2 weeks now that we've been playing out this bounce. And within like a day, it was up about 40%. So Bitcoin did more in a day percentage wise than it did in a couple weeks on what we're currently looking at in the month of December of 2018. December 2018. Anyways, right over here for the February, or sorry, the December one. Even more so, within 2 hours, you're up about 20%. Again, that is about as much as Bitcoin's done in 2 weeks. And all the way up to like the end of the day, it's like 40%. Again, very impressive. And if you go do the same thing for 2014, which is technically in 2015, someone gave me shit about that yesterday too. It's like, you're saying 2014, but you're talking about 2015. Well, just call it a fucking market cycle, man. How about that, man? Anyways, just easier to say. But anyways, when it comes down to it, that you have a very similar reaction. So if you want the full on explanation of that, definitely go check out the long-term long-term analysis playlist, as that will go in depth on all those things and go much further than what I'm looking at right here. The fourth thing that I'm looking for, and these are in no particular order, but that's the MVT signal right over here. Now, the MVT signal is kind of divorced from all the things that we look at on our price charts. But it's essentially the network value divided by the daily transaction value and then interpolated using forward backward moving averages to create a smooth line. Okay, great. Basically calls every top and every bottom in Bitcoin's market cycle history for that market cycle perfectly. As you can see, it typically bottoms where my cursor currently is now. And right here, we are still well above that area, but we have started to turn back down again. So we were ticking up this past week and a half. Now it has had another tick down. So, so again, there is something to be said about that overall, I think, well, actually, we'll get to that in just a second. And I'll just say my fifth and final thing right now is this guy right over here. I'm going to bring up the historical volatility rank. And again, credit to Valueport for pointing this out to me because it is incredibly helpful. And this is something that is just ancient knowledge from, here it is, ancient knowledge from where I come from in the traditional stock markets. As essentially when something is very, 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 very high volatility, that's when a market puts in its highs and its lows on it. If you're not familiar with volatility, there is the Investopedia definition, which probably won't help too much, but the true definition is that a higher volatility essentially says that you're going to have potentially more returns at that point because it's just it's a huge move from the actual mean standard deviation. So I hope that kind of makes sense. But basically over here you can see that we did about a 0.75 on this guy on this past drive down to the 3,000 level, about 3,000, almost 3,100, whatever it might be. Now in February, this was a February low right over here, in December low that we just looked at. These are extremely high. They're actually almost around the one mark, which is pretty much what I'm looking for. If we can go back over here to, let's see, to 2014, or I guess if you really want to be super specific, 2015, right over here. Look at that. Almost right at one as well. You put in the top of your market cycle in 2013, right over here, which is technically 2014 is what I'm looking at right over there. And when you actually turn this guy around, switching from accumulation to uptrend, essentially right over here. Well, what did you do again? You had a nice big spike on this guy, although not necessarily one, but getting up there. So it's basically telling you a big pivotal turning points within the market is what that is essentially going off of. And something, again, that I used a lot in traditional markets to be demonstrative of, okay, have we hit like a critical point? And as you can see in our current market structure, we don't really have what I'm looking for. We have enough for a nice move, no doubt about that. And again, you will have your uptrends, you will have your ups and your down markets, and you will have your downs and your up markets. It's, nothing goes in a fucking straight line. Just got to shake out the more over leveraged people, is kind of the name of the game. Anyways, I'm going to go on over here to the weekly, and that kind of brings up the next discussion. Where do I think this thing is likely to go towards? Well, of course, this is not too applicable right now. I think this is going to take a long time for it to actually play out. But yeah, I don't believe that the bottom for Bitcoin's in. I think that Bitcoin's going to go, is going to take out this low and very, very likely hit this 2,300 to 2,600 range right over here, the 886 Fibonacci retracement, which is actually where you did bottom out in 2014, just by the way. It's also a nice volume profile, kind of higher volume node coming in right around here, higher than what you did at 6,000. So I do like that. Good history going back now around here as well, and some good horizontals too to kind of round it out. If that area does fail, then yes, I do start looking towards the 1,300 level. But I feel that with the reaction that Bitcoin's had off the 200 simple moving average on the weekly, I think it's a little bit less likely. I think the super bears think that this thing is going to go down to like 1,000 even. I'm less convinced of that right now. Again, this is an opinion thing, but I think that it's more likely that this is going to be a hard area to chew through. Again, between about 23 to 26. So anywhere within there would look about good to me. Of course, yes, it can fail, and if it does fail, well, you'll know essentially when I know. I mean, we'll be looking at this together, and it should be. I mean, we'll be looking for the same things, we'll be looking for the same things. So, as we just kind of noted for actually, declaring something, perhaps bottomed. And even then, again, I'm not really in like people keep on asking me, what would I do if what am I going to do during capitulation? I'm going to do nothing. I'm going to hopefully be closing shorts. I'm not looking to buy capitulation. That's fucking insane. And again, this is, everybody wants to catch the big red dildo. But nobody wants to talk about what capitulation really fucking is, man. And it's very, very difficult. People think that it's very simple. And in hindsight, it will look very simple. But when you actually see it in person, it's going to be playing with emotions. It's going to play with my emotions. And again, I've actually gone through this before. But it's just you kind of learn how to handle it emotionally over time is where the true art comes in. Not necessarily like you become fucking rock solid like RoboCop or anything like that. So again, it's again, I think that that's kind of like the fool's gold, right? Someone will buy the bottom, but it's gonna be, you're gonna be off the lows. You're gonna be like 5% off the lows within like 30 minutes once it actually hits. So it's very unlikely that you actually get the actual capitulation. What I'm more interested in doing is I'm more interested in buying an uptrend. I'd love to buy an uptrend. An uptrend would be an excellent thing to do. Getting back above 6,000, excellent thing to do. But until that happens, it's just one of those things, just kind of sitting and waiting. Still most of my money is actually out of this market. So that's my current disposition. Again, going back to the lower time frames right over here, going to round this discussion out. Again, if Bitcoin does break this 3850 area right over here, I think that it's very likely to take a stab at this 4,000 level right over here. That's going to probably be the next nice play, the next obvious play in my mind. If it does break lower than this guy right over here, 36, let's just call it 3660 actually. Then yeah, yes, you will have supports along the way, but I do think that it's very likely you make your way back down around here, right around the 3300 to 3250 area. So again, just keep in mind, two paths right now. I wouldn't necessarily want to be buyer right here. I'd like to be a seller a little bit higher is what I'm looking for. So that's going to do it for me on this, lovely Thursday. Again, hope everyone's doing well. Hope everyone's doing hopefully better than me. I'm starting to feel the yak coming up, so I'm gonna sign off now and wish you well, and I'll be back in the Discord. I won't be as responsive as I typically am, just because I'm like I'm like in a fucking bed and feeling actually really shitty. But hey, if you need to reach out, just hit me up on Discord and I'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. All right, so take care guys, and I'll see you guys soon.